The words of my mouth and the meditations of our hearts be acceptable in your sight, our rock and our redeemer. Please be seated. As we come together for this third Sunday in our stewardship season, I would like to offer up my outlook to a very curious time of year. Night where we often dress up in character with various imagined and real things, hand out candy or go out with our kids to strangers' homes to gather ourselves. Despite celebrating the humiliating and monstrous, I still remember this time of year as a time of joy. Although within that candy and costume feel joy, there are many Christians who think that celebrating Halloween is satanic in nature and do not participate whatsoever. Not finding himself in a participatory faction growing up, as was a Kavanaugh tradition as a very young kid, my brother and I wore matching clown costumes in 1 year, made by a brother. I was a ninja a couple of years. And if I do dress up as a villain, I often don an English tracksuit and go as Comrade Bullis from the evil side. Obviously with a matching terrible accent. It grows with me, I promise. Fun aside, I find the contention around Halloween all the more curious because the holiday originated as a feast day in the church. All Hallows Eve, or the vigil for All Saints' Day, goes back to traditions of some of the earliest followers of the church to celebrate the lives of martyrs who gave themselves up in defense of the faith. Much later on in the Catholic Church, it was solidified to a day of obligation to honor all saints and members of the church who have given their lives and passed on to glory. A further extension of the holy day added All Souls Day, which would actually be optionally celebrated today instead of the second. But being Anglicans, we kind of lumped it together with All Saints Day and called it that. So how do we get up to dressing as monsters, spirits, and cartoon characters is beyond. But the roots of this holiday, this holy day, are in fact very Christian. And to me, thus, it ought to be celebrated. And you're probably wondering to yourself, what does any of this have to do with our readings or stewardship matters? It get a little complicated. But I think that Halloween and how it's celebrated actually has a lot to do with stewardship. In our gospel reading today, we heard both the comforting and challenging statement of Jesus' sermon on the plain, as well as the challenge ourselves. Mirroring Matthew's Sermon on the Mount, we hear the Beatitudes in verses 20 to 23. But unlike the Sermon on the Mount, we also hear the following 4 verses counterstatements to the Beatitudes reflecting them. Blessed are the poor, but woe to the rich. Blessed are the hungry, but woe to those who are full. Blessed are you who weep, but woe to you who laugh. Blessed are they who are hated, but woe to you who are spoken well of. The first 4 statements comfort us as they have been since the foundation of our church, reassuring us in our times of greatest need. The second quartet, however, challenges us when we are too comfortable. So what can these verses tell us on how to live a godly life? Beyond being statements of the human condition, I think that one thing these verses inform us on is how to conduct our lives as Christians. There's a silent prescription held in between the Beatitudes and their opposites. Look to God and look to others to help you. When you are poor, ask for aid. When you are rich, look for ways to help. When you are hungry, look for food. When you are full, seek to provide for leftovers. When you weep, seek to find comfort. When you are joyful, seek to spread that joy. I think the challenge for all of us is having the strength to put ourselves to the side and follow these prescriptions. In the midst of the mire, it's difficult to see the sun from the murk, just as difficult to feel anything besides our hunger when we are starving. And when we are satisfied and well off, it becomes all too easy to ignore the plight of others. All of these things challenge us to live out the final statement of the gospel, in teaching the verse of the sermon. Do to others as In order to live this out, we require wisdom to inform us, our generosity and care. Wisdom to know what pass the trees to God when we flounder them up to see when aid has come. Wisdom to see the pain and hurt in others, so that we can comfort as Christ comforts us. And wisdom to give generously as much as we can. These things are parts of the heart of stewardship, to care for whom and what we're given, give wisely, to love unconditionally. Going back to that, I think the holiday will see some exercise in those principles. While we are born as creatures from beyond our imagination, we give generously to any of those who come knocking on our door. Not so generous as to not have anything else to give when someone else knocks in the next few minutes, but just enough that everyone will be satisfied at the end of the night. Although I think wisdom comes from not making lazier and leaving a large bowl of candy inside the door of the window. As an occasionally unsupervised and somewhat unscrupulous lad, I was also one of those kids who was pushing the bowl to get as much as I could. It takes wisdom to give promptly, but that wisdom is the well of joy, as every child coming to your door will feel said joy as they get a share of candy. So too must we be wise in how we give our time, our labor, our treasure, ourselves, so that we do not exhaust what we have and may continue to give. Now, that is all to say that I do think that there is a real wealth in being generous. It may not necessarily be counted monetarily as wealth, but being generous brings a wealth of joy and love, as we believe Christ gave himself up for us. The pinnacle of generosity in giving literally all that he could in order to save us and graft us on to the tree of life. So too, the martyrs which we honor today, they mirror this example, giving up themselves that the faith could continue for us to inherit. Their witness and generosity certainly brought up a lot of welfare. And we can see that in ourselves, being here and being able to worship, being saved, and furthering the witness to save others. And so, my brothers and sisters, as the Beatitudes show us, let us find joy and consolation. Let us give as Christ did and the martyrs did. And as we are able, and as generously and joyously as we can, in spite of what hurdles are placed in our way. Let us work to follow Christ's golden rule and do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Let us participate fully in this harvest of joy and love that we sow. All